Hello, Dr. Carmen Bryant, Psychological Health Consultants and Services, and Redefine Yourself, a program that was developed for women that are contemplating leaving, and needing more information or are survivors of or have left or recovering from domestic violence, specifically narcissist abuse. I had a conversation yesterday with a lady who asked me some questions in reference to narcissist abuse. She asked me some questions in reference to the dramatics, or the acting, and is exactly what it is. It's acting. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, the drama, even how they may seek their prey. They're predators. Remember in another video we were talking about the parasite, how they're parasitic and they want to attach to a prey. They want to attach to a host. And so I just wanted to come and talk a little bit about the dramatics, the drama, why are they so dramatic? They call them drama queens or drama kings. I want you to think about this for a minute. And I had this conversation with someone, and I thought it was hilarious. But we were talking about little kids, and how I poke fun at little kids. A lot of times, the little babies, or the ones that are like 1 or 2 years old, when they're pretending like they're crying. And I usually say, I don't see any tears. Remember saying that to little kids? I don't see any tears. I think you're faking it. So they squeeze their eyes really, really tight to try to make some tears come out of their eyes. And you're like, I still don't see any tears. You're not crying. There's nothing wrong with you. And they just, and they get super loud. And, and you're playing and joking with the kid. Or I was watching some YouTube videos of little kids that were just dramatic, and it was hilarious. Where if you remember, if some of you guys seen the video of the little, I think it was a little girl, and she was crying, and every time her mom reached out to dry her face, she would lick her finger and then put it on her face and start crying again. But every time the mom would wipe the face, she would stop crying, lick her finger, and then do it again, and just Then there was another kid, I think, was standing behind a door and pulled the door in his face and was crying, was really just crying and dramatic and loud. And when the mom moved the door out of the way, moved the obstacle out of the way, he stopped crying and just looked at her, and then went and reached for the door and put the door back in front of his face and started crying again. Or the funniest one was the mother in the kitchen, and I think she was cooking or washing dishes, whatever she was doing, and the little, I think it may be 2-year-old, 3-year-old, I'm not sure, was having a temper tantrum on the floor. So spinning around on the floor and kicking feet, and mom was just ignoring him. And every time mom would move from one location to another, he would sit up and scoot on his butt all the way over where she was, and then start having a temper tantrum again. So she would move to another side of the kitchen, and he would sit up, stop crying, and scoot all the way over to where mom was at, and then wait, and then start having a temper tantrum. But all this we laugh at, and I think it was hilarious, but that's a narcissist. These children that are having these little temper tantrums think the narcissist grows up and does the exact same thing for the purpose of attention. That's not cute when you're an adult, to have a temper tantrum. They may not throw themselves on the floor, but sometimes you look at them like, I'm surprised you haven't thrown yourself on the floor. But they do it because they want the attention. They want the attention focused on them. If you look at a narcissist, if you know one personally, and they, when they fly into a rage, when they have temper tantrums, when they get angry, think about it for a minute and ask yourself, what age do they act like? Some of them act between the ages 4, 5, and 6, 9, for a trauma professional, a lot of times we look at that and we look at the fact that it's emotionally stunted. The growth has stunted. The developmental process was stunted at that age. So they are emotionally and psychologically delayed. And when I say delayed, that doesn't mean retarded. It doesn't mean any of that. But emotionally and psychologically, even socially, they're retarded, meaning to slow down. So something happened in that phase, in that time of development, that they did not mature in their social interaction. They did not mature and weren't able to get their needs met at that particular age. And so the only way that they know how, they have taught themselves how to get their needs met, is to be dramatic. I'll give you an example. And I think I have it here. Let me look. I think I had it on the screen and I was looking at it. But some of the things that they do, let's see. First of all, they thrive off of drama. it just gives them attention. So it doesn't matter whether it's negative or positive. They'll do whatever they can possibly do to get the attention on themselves. Remember, they're dealing with ego, they're dealing with arrogance. It's all about them. The whole world, evolves around them. And they'll do things, whether it's positive or negative, to elicit that response from you. For a lot of people that, and I encourage when we're in counseling, if they're not married, if they don't have any children, I usually encourage them to just cut off all communication. The process may be complicated because of the fact that you do have a tie with that individual. You may have some history. You may love that person. You went into the relationship wanting to love that person. So that is one of the hardest psychological thing to do, because emotionally you're still attached to this person. But when you take away their attention, they amped up the drama. For example, things like name calling, or they may do things to elicit a response from you. For example, for you to say, now, was that necessary? At least you responded. They got attention. And they'll take that like a small open door to run on with a conversation with you. Those that are in marriages or have children by a narcissist, or maybe you're not together with the narcissist, but your focus may be the connection, to make sure the child has the parent. And like I said in all my videos, this program was designed for women, but men go through the exact same thing that women go through. And in this situation, let me speak of women, for example, the motherly instinct to, I want to make sure that my children are connected to their father. I'm not going to take the, trying to be a good parent, trying to be a good mother, but they'll use the children just to attack you. So they'll do things because your heart may be with your children, hopefully is with your children, but your heart is with your children, but they'll do things to elicit a response from you. If you chose not to talk to them, if you think it's hell, and for many women, I say it's healthier not to even engage in big conversations. If you're talking about the kids, keep the conversation focused on the kids. What time you coming to pick them up? Do you need anything? Nothing about yourself. But they'll use that as an open door to elicit a response from you. They may do something that you would consider, inappropriate. They, do something to hurt the children, but they know that you're going to defend the kids. They know that you're going to say something to them. They know that you're going to contact them, but at least they're getting a response from you. So they do things to elicit responses from you. For those that may have left and may not have any children, and they may have found a new supply, but they're still vengeful towards you. Maybe you're the one that left them, and so they're very vengeful. Maybe they didn't lock in the supply good enough, or it wasn't, the supply, they realized the supply is not as good as the first supply, which is you. You may have been the longest supply, the best supply that they had, and they've locked in, they have another supply, but it wasn't locked in the way that they wanted to lock in. Remember, they took a lot of time to groom you, especially if the relationship was a long-term relationship. It took a lot of time to groom you, and then you decided that, for my mental health and my peace, I'm just not going to have anything to do with this individual whatsoever. I don't want to have anything to do with you. They'll do things to purposely get your attention. Things like make comments about the new supply, put pictures up about their vacations and the foods that they eat. Everything that you may have desired from that person and that they never did for you, they'll make sure to do it and post it so that someone can say something to you, or that you'll see the pictures. The thing about it is that it's not genuine anyway, but the only reason why they're doing it is to elicit a response from you, to hurt you or to attack you emotionally, because they want a response from you. They want to know that they still have control over your emotions. And the person that's in control of the emotions is the person that can elicit the response. My suggestion to you is don't comment. Do not follow them on social media. Do not go check their Facebook pages. Do not go check their Instagram. When you cut them off and focus on your own healing. But they'll do things just to elicit a response. And what they'll do is they'll try to find a way to get around. Some of them will find a way to get around you so that they can see what type of energy you're releasing, how you're responding to them, how you're acting. They're like predators. They sniff out their prey, and they sniff out the weaknesses in a prey. When a lion or a predator is hunting an animal, they're looking for not the sickest one, because remember, they still have to survive. So they're not looking for the sickest one, they're looking for the weakest one. And that's what narcissists do. They look for those that are weak in emotions, and maybe weak, unbalanced. When a woman is very desperate to have a man, when a woman doesn't want to be alone, if she, like I said, sometimes we talk entirely too much. And what they do is they'll let you talk. And that's a marketing technique too, when it comes to like people that are selling cars or trying to sell something. They'll listen to you because they're trying to find a baseline to where you are. They're trying to figure out what are your weaknesses. And I say that because in psychology, when people come in, people say more with body language and tone. That has a higher percentage of communication than the actual words that are coming out of a person's mouth. When I sit in counseling and I watch people, I watch how they're saying what they're saying. What is the real intent of what you're saying? And I probe that. I ask questions to try to get out. Sometimes people are very surface. If you're very surface, and I've experienced this before, and people come in and they come in like for couples counseling, and they may be very surface. I know there's something else going on, and depending on what they're saying, I usually have formulated something in my head. Maybe this person is, they're dealing with infidelity, maybe they're dealing with abuse. Something is going on other than what they're saying, but they're very surface. No one really wants to say anything. So it's almost like a superficial conversation, and no one really wants to say anything. Well, narcissists, they tend to give you probing. They let you talk because they need to figure out where you are emotionally. They need to figure out where you are mentally. They need to figure out what your weaknesses are. And one of the things that I explain in counseling is if you've ever had surgery before, and you go in, they go from the least intrusive to the most intrusive methods of healing you from whatever. If you have a knee problem, for example, you come in and they're going to touch. They're going to ask you questions, first of all. They're going to get some history from you, and then they're going to touch the knee. So now they're touching the knee, trying to figure out, but when they hit that painful place, what are you going to do? You're going to respond, ow, or you'll flinch. They're looking for a response. Narcissists are probing, just like a therapist probes. We try to figure out where is the tender spot, and a therapist will touch to find out where that tender spot is. And I've had people, once I hit that tender spot, have told me, I'm never coming here again. I hate you. And that's not something that I feel like talking about at this particular time. And being a trauma professional, I know that is a place of trauma for that individual. Sometimes I just come straight out and ask. When I figure, I'm like, let me ask you a question. These are part of the intake questions. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been sexually violated, raped, molested, touched, penetrated, anything? Those are very, very intrusive questions. And most people, they don't have to say a lot. It's the pause. It's the quiet. It's the facial expression. It's the body language that gives me the answer that I'm looking for. I know right then, yes, this happened, but they're not ready to talk about it. And then they'll start thinking like, not that I can recall. Well, not that I can recall is either you really can't recall it, or based on your body language, how you responded when I first made that the inquiry, with your facial expression. Like, I'm looking at body language now, and that gives me a lot of answers when I'm sitting in counseling. It's just that I have to get the person to feel comfortable enough to release that information to me. Well, a narcissist does the exact same thing without training. They do it out of instinct. And what they do is they listen to you and they try to figure out what your weaknesses is. They're probing to find out where your tender spots are. And then what they'll do is they'll become that soothing anesthetic for you to lure you in, because really you want people that are very anxious want to be calm. People that are depressed just need to be leveled, chemically balanced. They need to be leveled. Well, the narcissist will be what they have to be, and they'll play the role. They're the chameleons. They'll play the role that they need to play to pull you in. It's called hoovering, and it comes from the Hoover vacuum cleaner, to suck in. They hoover. They even love bomb. Love bomb means I'm going to overwhelm you with compassion, and I'm going to overwhelm you with love and make you feel for me. Because think about it, if you are weak emotionally, if you have not healed emotionally, then it's easy for you to be sucked in to what you assume a facade of love and care. But remember, a narcissist does not have the capacity to feel empathy. Empathy meaning that you're able to even in counseling, to be empathetic with people, not sympathetic sympathetic. Sympathetic means that I've connected with you so much that I can't even help you. So you crying, I'm crying, it is not really, it's not helping you therapeutically. But to be empathetic with a person, and for us to be empathetic to people's hurts, their needs, to be compassionate, and empath, they call it an empath, is when we're over empathetic. And that's what they look for, people that are over empathetic, because they play on your empathy, because they're not capable of feeling empathy. The other thing that they do is they mimic emotions. So remember, when they're growing up as a child, a lot of them did not have their emotional needs met, or they were overwhelmed. So you have the parents that parented way too much, and then you had the parent that didn't parent enough. You had the parents that abused the child. The children were sexually molested, or they were neglected, or abandoned, so the child was never able to regulate and understand how to connect with the world socially. So they're socially awkward, but they mimic. And remember, we were talking about classical conditioning. This and this equals elicits this response. This and this equals this response, or elicits this response. If I do this, then this will elicit this response. It's science. Psychology. And so a narcissist does the exact same thing when they're not getting to know you to build a rapport. Most of us get to know each other, what you like, what you don't like, how you want to be addressed, yes ma'am, no sir, to respect each other. We're learning each other to know what our boundaries are with each other. A narcissist does not get to know you to learn your boundaries or to be respectful. They're getting to know you to figure out how can they control you, how can they get what they need out of you. And so that even includes the dramatics. They can be very dramatic. Some of the things that they'll use is like, there's one I really liked. Let me find it for you. Hopefully I didn't accidentally close it out. I may have accidentally closed it out. Hopefully I did not. I think I accidentally closed it out. But I'll give you an example. They do things, let's see. Remember, they didn't learn, they never, they have immature social skills, so they never learned how to properly socialize with people. A lot of times their behavior is that of a toddler or a preteen, let's see, where is it at? Let me see if I can find it. Well, I think I clicked off the page, but drama serves a purpose. For example, if you confront a narcissist and let them know, hey, when we were out in public and you screamed at me in front of everyone, that was very embarrassing and humiliating. I don't think you need to disrespect me like that. They'll either get loud, because if they get loud, and it's a control tactic. I get loud and a diversion. I get loud and I scream and see, that's the problem right there. And you're talking about disrespect, but you didn't think about this. Everything turns back on you. They don't take accountability for their own actions. Instead of saying, oh, you know what, I apologize. I didn't mean to embarrass you like that. I got frustrated. It's not an excuse. I apologize. Instead of them just taking accountability because you have pointed out a deficiency. And remember, they have this facade of perfection. They don't want anyone to think that they have any type of deficiency. So they'll get loud, very dramatic, and see, that's the problem right there. And you talk about respect, but you don't respect me when you work long hours in the office. And these women that you made friends with, they don't even, but it has nothing to do with the conversation. They have just diverted you somewhere else. The loud, but see, they think they can get loud and aggressive and intimidating. It will cause you to submit. Just be quiet, leave it alone, and you'll find yourself apologizing for something that you didn't even do. Apples and oranges. The conversations about the apples, they have taken you over to the orchard, the orange tree, orchard, plum, onion field. Has absolutely nothing to do with the situation at hand, but it's a diversion. Other things that they may do, super dramatic, because remember, everything that they do is to elicit attention. If you have to go to the hospital and you have 103.9 fever, guarantee you they'll probably have 550. They're on broil. So when you bring it to there, because everyone is paying attention to you, are you okay? Everything's all right. See, all the attention is diverted to you. Are you okay? They go to the hospital, the attention is on you, but rightfully so. Something is wrong. You probably have an infection in your body, have a flu, whatever. But because of the fact that they see that attention that you're getting, all of a sudden, their temperature is at 550. They're on broil. So when you're trying to explain to them There's no humanly way possible that your body temperature can be at 550. You will combust and burst into flames. They will convince you with facts and statistics that are probably wrong, even over the doctor. They'll argue with the doctor that I'm a special case. You may not have ever seen a case like this, but I know for a fact, and I've survived this, but my temperature is fine. But all the attention has been diverted to them. Your leg is broken. Your leg is broken. You need someone, oh my gosh, your leg is broken. I can tell it's swelling and everything. And they're foaming at the mouth, and their head, my head was decapitated at one time, and they sewed my head back on. We know that this is unrealistic, but to them, they will convince you but you see the dramatics behind it. Everything is about attention on them. Everything is about attention. People become objects. It's almost like playing chess. It's a game of strategy. They look at people and they interact with people, and it's all a game to them. It's all a game. There is. Let me look to see if I can find this. There's something very interesting when we were talking about, not we were talking about, but I was kind of looking it up. The different type of reactions. So there is, and I can't find that either. I'll get it next time. There are stimulations to anger, for example. There are some, first of all, if you take the attention away from a narcissist, they're already frustrated. They need the attention. They need the attention, and they seek that attention. And it's almost like their responses, their behaviors, their actions just does not fit into this scene. They are actors in this world. They act, and they look to see how people respond. And depending on how you respond, they'll keep repeating that behavior. They keep repeating the behavior because there's a certain response that they want from you. For those of us that are not narcissistic, we look at it as you are dramatic, or that's too much, that's overboard, because they're acting. The thing about it is if it's an apple tree, you're not going to see bananas on the apple tree. It is what it is as an apple tree. And a lot of times they get you to a point where they will even have you questioning hey, down in the Middle East, they have apple trees that the apples look like bananas, but they're not bananas. They're actually apples. Ask someone. I'm telling you. They'll find someone gullible enough to agree with them. And the fact that they're agreeing with them, the person agreeing with them probably has no idea, but they just respect them, or have been a part of their friendship or whatever, but they'll find someone to try to validate what they're saying. And for a fact that this is ridiculous, this is foolish, but by the time they're done convincing you with all the drama and the dramatics, you're like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are some apples that look like bananas, but everything serves a purpose. All the dramatics serves a purpose, and it's to get attention. Everything they do, because they have no way of being able to have their they never learned how to get their needs met without manipulating. I'll give you another example. Drug addicts. And I've had the distinct honor and pleasure of working with men and women that have come into my agency that were actively addicted to meth, heroin. It's not an easy thing. Some of them come in when they were sober, but they were going back to using. They told me they were going back to use. I had to be, I gave them respect. At least they were honest about it. But they gave me the opportunity to ask them a lot of questions. How they felt, what they were thinking. A drug addiction, or any kind of addiction is, lets you know that the person is lacking coping skills, because 9 times out of 10 they're dealing with depression, post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and so they use, they self-medicate. That's even sex addiction, gambling addiction. They use that to cope and to bring down their stress levels. And different drugs do different things to alter the chemicals in the brain, the pleasure centers in the brain. But they do it. Well, with a narcissist, even with the emotional game that they play with people, for you not to respond to their dramatics and to the game that they play causes their stress level to go up. They need someone to respond, meaning that they can be so disrespectful, but if they can if they can elicit a response from you, it calms them back down. Then they can look at you and say, you're the crazy one. See, something's wrong with her. Something's wrong with him. But it calmed them back down. It's a sad thing, but the drama in a narcissist's life, serves a purpose. Even with drug addicts, to figure out how to manipulate people, they manipulate people on the emotional or intellectual level, bringing babies out. Now, I'm not saying that every homeless person or every person that's out there that's asking for money is a drug addict. That's not true. There are some people that have been through some very unfortunate things and ended up being homeless, even on drugs, so not every person that's asking for money is a drug addict, but the ones that I knew were drug addicts that you can kind of see the signs and symptoms of the drug addiction, a lot of them, they what they do is they manipulate the emotions. They play on the emotions. Hey, I'm down on my luck. I just got evicted. I need some gas. And it's amazing because I made this comment the other day. I was like, it's amazing. Every block that I go to, around the city area where there's a high drug use, the high drug use areas, everybody ran out of gas. But I can't find anybody's car. Take me to your car. Oh, it's way down the street. But everybody's got a gas can. Everybody needs gas. And that lets you know that's a red flag. Everybody needs gas. Some of them use their children. Hey, my baby needs some diapers, or I'll go buy you some diapers and milk. But when they say, well, no, I just take the money, that's a red flag. So they learn to manipulate human emotions to get their needs met. The need is to get high. Their need to get high, will even take over the sense of protecting their children. Or some people have lost their children to CPS because they cannot let go of their drug addiction. Well, a narcissist, their addiction, is usually the person that they're connected to, but they're so addicted to the need to be validated, not to be abandoned. They need that emotional rush, but they're not true feelings. They don't have the capacity to have empathy for people. It is learned behavior. They watch, they listen, and then they think about it. Like I said, classical conditioning. If I do A, B, C, D, this person will do this. If I get really loud, or if I say this, or if I throw a temper tantrum, then they'll submit and do what I asked them to do, or what I told them they're going to do. It's power and control. That's what it is. Narcissist is just a very serious form of domestic violence. I mean, all of them are very, very serious. Don't get me wrong. All of them are very serious. And narcissist just happens to be one that is on the rise, and majority of the clientele that come in are people that are in or leaving or have left narcissistic abusive relationship. And the question always, what did I do wrong? Even after leaving, what did I do wrong to cause this person to do that? You didn't do anything wrong. It may have been our choices, the choice of people, but if you don't know any better, then how can you do any better? If you don't know your own value, or if you don't know that you are a valuable individual, sometimes you'll just take whatever comes to you that pays you attention. But we have to learn to heal internally, heal emotionally, and demagnetize that pull, because you'll just accept anything because you think that you're not worth anything better. And better can come. Better will come if you heal first. First you heal. You don't have to attach to somebody first. First heal. Recognize. Come to counseling. There are counselors in your area. The counselors, I mean, we're out there. Come and you heal first. And demagnetize yourself from being a prey. I did find this. I wanted to, before I get off, let me talk about this real quick. How predators seek their prey. There is a study, is Grayson Stein study, in 1984. It's two researchers, Betty Grayson and Morris I. Stein. They conducted a study to determine the selection criteria that's applied by predators when they're selecting their victims. They videotaped several pedestrians on a busy New York City sidewalk without their knowledge. And later what they did was they showed the tape to convicts who were incarcerated for violent offenses like rape, robbery, murder. And what they asked them to do is to identify people on the tape that were like easy targets, easy desirable victims. And what they found was that a large number, wait a minute, let me find it here, that within several seconds when they were watching the video, they were making selections, and the selections were pretty consistent and pretty fast. They couldn't, the criteria wasn't readily apparent because when they were selecting, sometimes the small slightly built women weren't chosen and passed over for large men. It wasn't dependent on race, age, size, or gender. And even the comics really didn't understand why they were selecting these people and why they looked like easy targets. But when they went back and analyzed the video, what they discovered is that when they started doing analysis like of body movement and body language, this is what they found. And that's why you have to be careful to demagnetize yourself, because you have a low self-esteem, low self-worth. Your body language, your nonverbal language tells a lot about what's going on with you on the inside. And I'm going to give you the results. In the military, the one thing that we would always, as leaders tell our soldiers, pick your head up, act like you have some confidence, act like you got some pride until you get it. You're wearing, we had to pump up their, esprit de corps and make them feel valuable as soldiers. Hey, you're a soldier in the United States Army. Hold your head up and be proud. You're defending this nation. We say what we have to say to pump them up. But what happens is you can tell and what they found too is an exaggerated stride, abnormally long strides or short strides. They dragged or shuffled or lifted their feet unnaturally as they walked. And as for non-victims, they tend to have a smooth, natural gait. They step heel to toe. Then the rate, they tend to, like the victims tend to walk differently than non-victims. They usually walk much slower than the flow of traffic, pedestrian traffic. Their movement lacked a sense of deliberateness or purpose. They were, and then the non-victims, they were like, and the victims, they were unnaturally rapid pace, which projected like nervousness or fear. Fluidity. The researchers noted the awkwardness in the victim's body movement, like jerking, raising, or lowering one's center of gravity, or wavering from side to side. And it became, as they moved, it became apparent when the victims were analyzed. For non-victims, their fluidity was much smoother, more coordinated movements, wholeness. Victims lacked wholeness and body movement. They swung their arms as if they were detached or independent from the rest of the body, and non-victims moved their body from the center and coordinated, wholly implying strength, balance, and confidence. So they walked confidently. Posture and gaze. A slump posture was indicative of weakness and submission. Downward gaze implied preoccupation and being unaware of one's surrounding. Also, some reluctant to establish eye contact. And it was perceived to be as submissive. These traits implied an ideal target for a predator. And so those were some of the things that they found in the study. One of the things I used to tell my soldiers, when you shake someone's hand, give them a firm hand shake and look them in the eye. Whether you feel uncomfortable or not staring someone in the eye, you look them in the eye. Narcissists have a tendency to stare you in the eye, to stare you down, to force you to not look them in the face or force you to submit to their aggression. In some cultures, like, for example, in the Native American culture, a firm hand grip is a sign of aggression. And for us, like, if you give us a loose handshake, we're like, well, that's very disrespectful. But in their culture, it's a sign of aggression. But a narcissist looks at all this as well. It's a it's a predator looking for a prey. And so hopefully this helped you out a little bit. If there's some more questions in reference to the dramatics and how they seek their prey, sad to say, predators, parasitic, parasites that look for hosts to suck the life out of them. That's kind of an adjective to be used in these situations. Even though they're human beings, those, their characteristics are very animalistic, and you wonder where they learned that from, but they never learned any social skills or how to relate to people socially, so they're kind of awkward. The things they do is almost like awkward. It looks normal to most people that are not paying attention to them, but if you're focused on them, it's like everything that they do is like awkward or over exaggerated or too much, or you can almost tell it's like for show, or you're very repetitive. You do the same thing over and over again just to be seen, to argue, even to argue with yourself, to get someone to comment and make a comment about your behavior, or say something, or try to defend themselves, or ask you a question because they want to argue. They're like always wanting to argue and be argumentative, and if you don't, bow down to their expectations, or make them feel good about themselves, or make them feel like they're smart, then you're the enemy. Then they're going to point out all the deficiencies that you have, and a lot of times they're projecting themselves on you. They see you like they see themselves, so everybody around them has to be just like them. So if if they're very dishonest, then no one can be trusted anyway. They project themselves onto other people, and it may not be true. So hopefully this helped a little bit. Just leave some comments, let me know your story. Let me know something about you. Tell me what you want to share. If you don't want to share it where the comments are posted, when you do post, I do screen the post, because I don't want anybody to be re-traumatized. I don't want anybody to be disrespectful. So I like to screen, whatever comments you have, I like to screen them first to make sure that they are respectful. If you have some comments, or if you want to email me, Dr. Carmen Bryant, DrCarmenBryant @outlook.com. You're welcome to email me. Let me know. Do not disclose my name or identify me, but can you talk about, or even if you want to ask a question, I'll do it in a general form. I like to protect those that are bold enough to watch the videos. These videos, I encourage you to share them with people. You don't know who's sitting around you going through domestic violence. You don't know, who needs to hear this. There are some people that watch these videos that you would never know that are going through or have been through abuse, because it's still shrouded in shame, and they're afraid of what people are going to say. They want to be respectful, but at the same time, they're still learning to heal themselves. They're learning that they are relevant, and they have relevance, that you are not what the person told you were. So there are some people that watch the videos that don't want to be identified, and there are some people you don't even, when you share it, there are people that need to hear what is being said so that they can confirm the fact that they're not crazy. You're not crazy, and what has happened to you is real. During my time coming up through the military, no one really talked about domestic violence. It was just a word that was thrown out there, but no one talked about the details of what domestic violence was. Some people didn't know that to take your money and not give you any of your own money was considered to be a power and control, a domestic violence type situation. To be blocked in the doorway, or for you to be in the bed, and the person, the narcissist wants to talk about something right then, and their whole point is to get you to change your mind, and they're willing to, and we're going to talk about that in another video, but they're willing to torment you, to force you to stay awake, to make you talk about something, and they're repetitive. They keep saying the same thing over and over again. They just put it in a different format to force you to change your mind, even if it means depriving you of sleep. And we'll talk about some of those torture techniques that they do use. And hopefully this is helping someone, whoever is watching, depending on what state you are. Even if you want to email me to get you some resources to help you recover and come out of your situation. I know it is a big decision. For many women that are caught in relationships and they know that they're going through domestic violence, you feel like you have no one to talk to, you can't go anywhere. I've helped people to connect and leave the state, to get out of the state. But you have to remember that someone is going through something and they need to hear it. Share the video, go and subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with someone. You never know who you're helping. You never know when you say something, who is helping and who is bringing, to making them feel validated that what I experience is real. I'm afraid to leave because I don't know how I'm going to support myself. I'm afraid to leave because everything has been, I've been with this person since I was a child. I've never learned how to take care of myself or pay bills or anything. There is help out there that would teach you how to be independent, teach you how to get a job, teach you, resume writing, or that help you, with housing. We just have to get you into the right direction. If you need to leave the state and change your identity, there are programs out there that will help you do it. You just let someone know, reach out and ask for help. I am a certified life coach. If you send me an email, even if you want to send a number, you want to talk to me briefly, you know, I do not do therapy over the telephone. I do not do that. If I do therapy, I do therapy in my office. But if you want to reach out and you want to, you know, you want to get some, or if you want me to email you with some resources, I will email you with some resources, get you in the right direction, you know. But hopefully this is helping someone. Hopefully this is bringing you some enlightenment and some knowledge about your situation. I'll continue to post, and hopefully something that I say will trigger you to escape, to get out of your situation, and to heal from everything that you've been through, because you're more powerful than your situation. You are more powerful than what you have been through. Your experience, either you can take it and you can be a victim for life, or you can take it and you can help other people, because there are some people that are waiting for you to come out of your situation so that you can be a voice and show them what it looks like to recover, to escape from the bondage that you might be in. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. You're welcome to go to my Facebook page, Psychological Health Consultants and Services. I have Instagram. It's under psychological, I think it's psych and an underscore health underscore consultants. I couldn't get the whole word in there, but I think it's linked onto my Facebook page as well. I'll try to link it to my YouTube channel. Please take the opportunity. If you like, you can email me at Dr. Carmen Bryant, DrCarmenBryant @outlook.com. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak to you, and thank you so much for liking my videos. Thank you so much for listening to me, even if you're doing it incognito and you don't want no one to know that you're actually watching me, so you just watch me as it scrolls through the Facebook page. But I'm appreciative that you're actually taking the time to listen to what I have to say. You guys have a wonderful week, and have a wonderful day.